Great.
So, well, all right. A few weeks ago, we had a little brainstorming session to come up with some topics that we would like to throw on the table or discuss here with in our group. And several of us mentioned we'd like to hear about where AI has gone in the last couple of years since we talked about that topic before. I think the last time you spoke with us, Sandy, I think we were still meeting over at Peace, weren't we?
No, we were.
Or were we
We
here?
were in the room next door here. Yeah.
Okay, well, nevertheless, it's been a while. Clear this long, I don't remember, so it ain't.
And in the AI world, it's probably been like a decade in terms of the progress, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, Sandy's just going to talk with us. He has some questions for us, and I'm sure we have some questions for him, so over to you, Sandy. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, fun to be here again. I thought what we'd do is first go over some of the new developments in AI, and then I'll mention some of my personal use cases or stuff that I do with AI, and then the really interesting part will be when we go around and hear what you guys have been doing with AI. So I'll start with I read an article yesterday in the New York Times about this guy Jan LeCun, who's one of the early developers of neural networks, which we talked about last time. And his belief is that the current approach of AI using large language models is a dead end. And you may agree with that or not, but what I found even more interesting was an article, a comment on his article, and there's often lots of comments on Times articles or Washington Post or whatever. This guy said, he gave a definition of AI as it is today, and he said, AI is an 8-year-old child who believes everything she reads on the internet and has an insatiable desire for approval and forgets everything you told her 10 minutes ago. For me, that's about right. I've been using AI for a particular project, software development, and the thing about forgetting what you told her 10 minutes ago comes up a lot. So,
does that mean it hasn't developed? I mean, it's just
no,
in the
I mean,
infant stage?
it knows a tremendous amount of stuff. Like, is it coming through okay? Can people hear it online?
Yeah, I can hear.
Can you all hear?
Yeah, okay.
Yes, I can.
Sue's just covering up my notes here. So, well, I'll get into the use cases next, but I just mentioned it on this software development. There's so much to know about the operating system, the development tools you're using, the language, all this stuff, and it knows all that stuff. But nevertheless, when you're interacting with it, you say, okay, we got this problem, and work through, come up with some new code, fix it. And then maybe 10 minutes later, you got another problem, you're working on something, gives you some new code. Well, it's forgotten the fix for the last problem. And so the code, if you use the code that it gave you, you're going to have the old problem again. So, I mean, that kind of stuff goes on. And that's why I think that description of this 8-year-old child is very good at finding stuff on the internet and believes it all, but, forgets what you just told it 10 minutes ago. So, anyway, as far as the advancements, one of the ones I thought was pretty significant was this multimodal approach, where instead of just text, you can interact with images. And for for example, one of my uses is, I have a lot of photographs, and sometimes I don't organize them quite as well, and I don't remember exactly where I took the picture. So I give the photograph to ChatGPT and say, where is this? And sometimes you have to give it a little help. Well, it's, you know, somewhere near Newfoundland. It'll tell you where it is. Sometimes its first guess isn't right, but anyway, you can also interact with speech. I don't do that. I mean, but that's what it means by multimodal. You can interact with images, text, or audio. Another big one is agents. So when you work with, you know, like ChatGPT, you give it a prompt and it comes back with a response. And you, like if you're working on a paper or a printer or whatever, you copy and paste it. The agent mode, you basically work out a plan and you say, okay, this is what I want to do. And I'll show you one of the examples that Claude does. I want you to summarize all my meeting notes from the past week, and I put them in a spreadsheet or whatever. And so it'll go do all that. It may interact with you. Say, well, how detailed do you want the summary to be? But it's a little different than just the chat mode of operation. So they call it agentic AI. And all the chat programs like Google's Gemini, OpenAI, ChatGPT, all these have come out with much better versions than a year ago. Let me just ask, which ones do you guys use? Does everybody use ChatGPT, or does somebody use Gemini, ChatGPT? Anybody use Gemini?
Isn't that the one that when you go to Google?
Yeah, if you use Chrome, Google Chrome, it's built in. So you're using it whether you want it or not.
Right, okay. And that's Gemini, right?
Yeah, that's Gemini.
Okay, thank you.
Another one is Claude. And
Perplexity one?
Perplexity, yeah, I mean, it uses AI. I haven't looked into that one, but that's, does anybody know about Perplexity?
It's a favorite around here.
Okay. A new one is Elon Musk's Grok. Anybody tried that? It's been in the news a little bit because at least the paid version.
Hello?
Oh, hello?
It's Lee answering his watch.
Oh.
Speaking of technology.
Okay.
Technology in action, right there.
That's what's doing.
Yes, is that jumping help?
Hi Lee, we can hear you.
It's not just the kids.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, Grok has been in the news because it doesn't have some of the restraints that the others do, and it will. People are using it.
Neither does Mount. Neither does Musk. That's right.
He said neither does Musk. Ralph said neither does Musk have the constraints.
Oh, okay.
Restraints.
All right. Well, apparently it'll let you take a photograph of somebody and undress them and stuff like that.
Yeah, that was a big deal in the paper a few days ago.
Yeah, right. So I haven't tried that, so I'm just taking their word for it. I have tried Grok, and it's pretty cool. I mean, I take a still image and say, okay, I want to automate. I really love my son. He doesn't want any pictures of his son, my grandson, on the internet. And particularly not anything to do with Elon Musk. But before I realized that he was so adamant about that, I took a picture of my grandson who was sitting on his mother's lap, and he was banging on a piano. And I asked Grok, have him play some Beethoven. And so he's like, he was like hitting the keys nicely and his music coming. He was just banging like this and changed it to where he was really playing the piano. So don't believe anything you see anymore. You see a video of somebody doing something, who knows, right? So, okay, so that's some of the technical advancements. Infrastructure, NVIDIA is still the big supplier of the most powerful chips, and their current top of the line is Blackwell. They're the ones that you can't sell to China, and their next generation is called Rubin. I don't know where the name comes from, but they're going to be even faster and cheaper, and hopefully won't generate so much heat. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
All the electricity and air conditioning for these computer centers. So, and then the next item on my list here was the global AI race. Everybody heard about China's DeepSeek. I mean, that particular one, they basically took the open source stuff that was available and enhanced that. You all know what I mean by open source, right? Or,
You explain it to me.
okay. So most companies develop software, commercial software, and keep the source code secret. That's the crown jewels. They don't want somebody copying it. But there's another approach that has been used called open source, where everybody can look at the actual source code. One of the more common or early uses of that was the operating system called Linux, and that was like Unix. Unix was developed by AT&T. Linux was developed by, I forget the kid's name, but anyway, he's very famous.
The kid's name.
Yeah, right. And
Most can do this stuff.
so some companies like Red Hat have taken Linux and added commercial things onto that are proprietary. The basic operating system, you can take the source code and develop your own version of it, whatever. So Meta, which is the parent of Facebook, their AI system is called Llama, and that's open source. You can download Llama and develop your own AI system from that. Of course, I mean, it's a large language model, which is apparently a dead end, but still, you could do a tremendous amount with it, as I'm sure all of you know.
Can you explain the large language model? Sandy, what do you mean by that when you talk about large language model?
You don't remember from last time?
Refresh my memory.
Yeah. Well, it's evolution from the neural network, but basically it's like a is a system that you train on a set of data. And the ones that we use every day are basically trained on the internet. But you can train a large language model on your own specific data. And for example, some law firms will train it on their data separate from the internet. I mean, you all heard about the lawyers who ask ChatGPT to generate a brief, and it comes up with non-existent cases, right? That's not what I'm talking about. This is where they've taken their own data and built a large language model that they can then query, and they can say, have any of our clients been sued by this schlock patent company? And they'll come up and say, okay, here are the cases and the specifics. Okay, well, develop a response because we've got a new one. Yeah, it'll do that. So, does that help?
Mm-hmm.
All right. But if you want to develop your own, I'll give you Nano GTP. You can develop your own.
I'll think about that.
So, okay, another big area, of course, is safety and regulation. Different states are coming up with laws about what you can do or not do with AI. I think an interesting one, I was talking to a friend who's coincidentally a Purdue graduate.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Boil her up.
Mm-hmm. And he's actually on the advisory board for Purdue's engineering school, and they were talking about how AI is used in education. And he said there's sort of two extremes. One is students are just using AI to cheat on their homework. So that's one point of view, right? And the other is these kids have got to use AI and know it well if they want to get a job. So the Purdue's engineering school, their instruction basically to the professors is you must come up with a policy. It can be whatever you want. It can be either extreme or anywhere in between. But you must have a policy that you state at the beginning of the class. Because if you don't state a policy, you can't ding the kid later for using AI. So some professors are, on one extreme, others. Some are actually say you can use AI for whatever. Because you can use it on your tests, but it won't do you any good because my course is so good that you can't answer the questions with AI.
Who
Because
says
of-
that? Who says something like that?
Some of the professors at Purdue. So it's not too surprising because if you're at all innovative in your course, you're teaching stuff that AI didn't get trained on. That AI doesn't, come up with new stuff out of the blue. It can extrapolate from, its training to come up with some things that are new, in particular in biology and medical area. They can suggest new compounds based on, how other things have developed in the past. And that saves tremendous amount of work on developing new pharmaceuticals and stuff, so. Anyway. Okay, so, I wanted to show you this, agent AI. Let's see if I can figure out how to make my Zoom shared. Okay. I'm not getting the right. What do I need to do, Sue?
Just hit, so go to your Zoom here and on the bottom toolbar, it'll say share screen. Right there.
Okay, all right, I was on the wrong screen. Okay, and share that.
Whichever window.
That's Bill's AI.
Yeah.
That's your
and
AI.
share it.
And then share
Soon,
sound.
soon.
Is that a video?
Indeed.
No sound.
Oh, okay, then you can just share.
Indeed.
Or that would be NI, natural.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Get
Yeah,
the
good.
lights here so we can see that screen.
We have ours at home. Soon, I said we had ours at home, soon.
That better for seeing the screen?
Yeah.
Surely.
So they're gonna pick co-work instead of chat. Summarize meetings. So, let me stop sharing here.
Same.
There we go.
Yep.
And I want to be out of the picture. Am I in there?
Just
No,
up on
you're
the-
good.
up on the
Okay, good,
top.
okay. So that, co-work, was developed just originally for coding. And, they, people at Anthropic, realized that you could use this for almost anything. And so that's actually what's used by the law firm to, develop new papers and stuff for their clients. It's a step beyond just doing the chat. So, okay, so let me just quickly go over some more of the things that I use AI for. Last year I got into amateur radio, and one of the things that's really critical is your antenna. And I didn't know too much about antenna design, so I asked ChatGPT and told me just how to make a, where, if I wanted to buy one, here's sources for antennas. Or if you want to make one, it tell me how to make one, which is what I did. Also, I was curious about software designed radios, which has kind of been around for a little while, but when I was in engineering school, it didn't exist. You had to build a radio with real parts and stuff. And of course, there's some parts, you gotta have some hardware, but I ended up building one of these software design radios, and it's amazing how much capability and features are in a little tiny box and not that many parts. As you've gathered, I still try to write software, and I'm like not really that good at some of these languages, but ChatGPT is very good at them. Although, as I mentioned, when I'm interacting, it'll forget some stuff. So it definitely requires a human to come up with something that's really going to work. But it's a huge help in developing software. Also, have any of you had trouble with your computer ever?
Yeah. Weekly or what?
Yeah. So I do too, and new versions of Mac OS and stuff. It's something I use ChatGPT to help me find out, well, how do you fix this? What is the problem? And it saves a lot of time hunting around. Another area, travel. I mentioned, hey, I took this picture, where is it?
Oh.
There you go. It told me. I was curious about one of the places I contacted with my ham radio, really remote island in the Pacific, Wallis and Fortuna Islands. How do you get there? Well, it's difficult. It's very difficult to get there, but I now know how to get there now, thanks to AI, right? All right, so I have a reverse osmosis system on my kitchen sink, and it has a little, on the faucet, it's got a little hole for letting air in out, and it was starting to spew water, and I couldn't figure out why. Well, I found the answer, guess where? So, okay.
Is it difficult figuring out how to ask the question?
I don't think so. I mean, it definitely is something to learn how to do, and there's a whole, there's university courses on prompt engineering and stuff. So, but just ask it in normal English, and interact with it if you're not getting the answer that makes sense to you. I don't think it's that hard for most things. I mean, sometimes, okay, so I wanted to get some help with developing some new bylaws for our HOA. And so I just said, well, I want some new bylaws for our HOA. Here's the old ones. And I said, I can't help you. Because I can't give legal advice.
Oh, because you can't what?
Can't give legal advice. So I said, oh, I'm not asking for legal advice. I just want an outline to go over with my attorney. Oh, no problem. And it just gives me the whole thing.
That's perfect.
Okay?
An outline. Yeah, I love that.
So does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, okay.
Would it do the same thing with medical advice, Sandy? If I put in a bunch of symptoms, would it say, I'm not going there? Because that would seem to be an area that they'd have to be careful of, right?
Well, the thing is, this is a whole, very recently this has come out as a big problem, because they've come out with a sort of a medical version, but it's not, it's not healthcare, it's just advice, and so they don't have to abide by the HIPAA regulations, and they're giving some really bad advice. So, so far, I think the Wall Street Journal had an article from reporter who had signed up for this medical version. I think it's still in beta, and you can't just everybody use it. But she said she had, okay, so like these Apple Watches, you can have them record your number of steps you take and your calories, amount of sleep, and all this stuff, and make the database. And she took her Apple data and fed it to this thing and said, how am I doing? And what's, give me a grade from A to F. You're an F. Okay, so she took this stuff to her doctor. He said, this is total BS, totally wrong. You're fine, And it was giving too much weight to the oxygen, some factor, Maybe somebody else has read the article. So, okay, so have I gotten to the end of my list? Pretty much. That was, I used it in the health area for her, telling me what side effects some medications might have, and a couple of things like that. So that's pretty much what I use it for. So we can do this two ways. We can ask for volunteers, or we can go around the table and who would like to
Well,
talk about
I'll start. I don't use it at all knowingly. I mean,
what you do, use it?
Yes, I guess I do. I'm just always intrigued by my grandchildren. I have one grandson who is recent graduate and is in Washington working for a public relations firm, or was working for one. And he said that he can have his daily work done within 15 minutes.
Wow.
Because he just, they tell him what they want. Each company that's trying to influence Washington, they tell him what he wants, and he can have that done right away. Of course, now he's left the company and setting up his own company to do exactly that. But
Okay.
I'm just intrigued by it, but totally without any knowledge.
So he was being paid for 8-hour day, and he did all his work in 15 minutes and goofed off the rest of the time?
Well, no, he worked at being busy,
Okay, all right.
looking busy.
That's great.
And they recognized it before he left and offered him a job. And he said, the world is out there for me.
Yeah, that's great.
Well,
Andy, Lee Cooper here. One of the things I don't think you mentioned is, one of the nice things about ChatGPT is that it offers a history of everything that you've asked it. So when I heard you were speaking, I thought, well, how many times have I used ChatGPT in the last year? So I went back and looked at the history, and I have used it roughly every other day over the last 360 days. And most recently, I took into genealogy and stuff. A couple of my cousins and I are. So we got into a debate about a couple of our ancestors and when they arrived in this country. And so I put together what our summary was and I sent ChatGPT about this. Let me read you a paragraph of what they said. Your understanding, I'm quoting here, your understanding seems largely correct, but there are a couple of clarifications to consider regarding the timelines and relationships. John Cooper was indeed born in Surrey, England in November 1642. He died in Somerset, Maryland in June 1668. Gabriel M. Brayfield Cooper, his son, was born in 1665 and died in 1737. The timeline suggests that Gabriel was born in 1665. He would have been an infant or or a very young child during the time of their arrival in Maryland in 1660, it's likely that John Cooper brought his young son Gabriel with him when he immigrated to the Maryland colony, end quote. That's the kind of stuff that I have used ChatGPT for most recently, and it really is helpful. And I like the chat aspect of it, you know, the kind of talking with you about it. So just a little insight, but having the history, having be able to go right on there and say, look back for things that you have asked it throughout the year is really helpful.
Yeah, that's a good point. It also reminds me that the 8-year-old child is always very positive about its conclusions. And so what it told you is probably right, but you may want to not, bet your life on it, okay?
Right, sure.
So which of all these tools is best, or are they expert at different things, like Gemini for one thing and ChatGPT for something else, and Grok, which is quite new, for something else? Well, how do I choose which one to use?
Very easy. You ask ChatGPT, I want to do this, which tool is best?
Well, how do I get to ChatGPT? Do I just Google ChatGPT?
App. It's an app. You download the
Yeah.
app. Yeah, download the app.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, clearly I'm a Gemini user because that's what pops up on my computer.
Fine, ask Gemini.
How about Siri?
I mean, I haven't used them all in that much detail, but I couldn't tell you, from my personal experience, if you want to make pictures into videos, use Grok. ChatGPT is the one, I pay like $20 a month for the Prime service or whatever, and that's the one I use most of the time.
So are these all pay for service
No.
apps, or?
No, you can use ChatGPT for free. Most of them, I think all of them you can use for free.
So
Well,
what's
I
the
would say
advantage
all.
of it? If I go to premium, what does that do for me? Or any of these subscription services?
It opens up some more capabilities, particular the ones that let you generate images. You can do very little. You get so many free points, and then you run out and you can't generate any more images.
I see.
So,
You have to subscribe eventually if you want to use it.
Okay. Clearly you're into it.
Nope.
Oh, you're not, okay.
How are the free services making money in this whole thing? If I can just use this AI for free, how are they generating enough income to be able to pay for everything they have to pay for?
Extra services offered, right?
yeah, and lots of in the early days of the internet, everything was free, and the companies weren't making any money, and a lot of them went bust, of course. But the idea was, well, we'll build a customer base. So AI's been doing a little bit of that. They offer free to build up, some usage. But what happened on the internet? Advertising, right? Well, that's coming to ChatGPT. So the freebie, there'll be still a free version, but it's going to start having ads. But they make the difference between, the early .com bubble and this one is that these companies are making massive amounts of money.
They are spending extraordinary amounts. Oh,
That is true. That is true, but a lot of those early .com companies didn't really have any revenue. So
When you said who's making money besides NVIDIA, the hard disk companies, and Cisco? Who's actually making
Well,
money?
they have a lot of revenue, okay, I won't say that they're,
Oh, yeah,
profitable,
okay. All right, okay. I thought you meant they're profitable.
No,
No.
not yet, or if ever, who knows?
Well, because my background was selling the hardware for the internet, and I see a lot of similarities between, it's the NVIDIAs, the Ciscos, Seagate, Western Digital, Caterpillar with generators, the people that make
Oh,
the
yeah.
chillers.
That's right.
They're the ones making money right now.
Right,
But I haven't seen who else is actually making money. I mean, Google's making money because, like you said, the advertising and the search. So if you do Google, to answer your question,
yeah,
you'll see when you get the AI results, it's the first thing that pops up when you go to Google Chrome by default. And then you can see where, if you dig down in there, like they mentioned certain things, you can see where they're getting money from those companies. But besides like Google and Meta, I haven't heard of anybody, I haven't heard of private companies actually making money yet.
no, it's like the gold rush, right?
Right,
The guys that made the money were selling shovels.
right, yeah.
Mhm.
So, is that not the definition of a bubble?
Shovels.
If they're not making money and they're sticking all this
The suppliers
money
too.
in,
That's the thing. The suppliers too, I mean, that's a good place to invest.
the chips on the hardware and
Yeah, all the infrastructure.
the infrastructure for all of this.
Yeah, well, there will be companies making money, it's just like you mentioned, the internet, there's gonna be winners and losers, not everybody's gonna come out positive.
Right.
But now it's like nobody knows, just like, like, cause companies are trying to implement it and everything, cause.
Yeah.
Is it a race to figure out who the survivor's gonna be and everybody else gets gobbled up?
And I don't think you can ask ChatGPT for the answer.
Yeah,
Are you gonna survive all of this and be the one,
Right,
or
yeah.
is someone else?
which is like, you hear all these companies, like if you look, like Bloomberg, CNBC, anywhere you see, it's like, all they say is AI. But then, what I haven't seen is companies coming out and saying, any specifics, like, okay, this is how we're using AI and it's making us money. Like, like the rest of the universe besides the people selling the hardware and the shovels and everything like that. There's a few companies, but they're not gonna talk about it because my understanding is that, you got all these massive data centers are gathering all this public data, just like Google would search. Correct me if I'm wrong, this is the way I see it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why they're building these massive data centers. It goes out there and gathering all the information out there. And you said like how they're making money. They're gathering information from you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless you somehow disable it. So Google's got a massive data. Google knows like everything, almost,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, but when private companies can integrate their proprietary data, like you mentioned, combine it with the public data, then they have their internal app. There's an insurance company that's starting to do it, I noticed, because I had signed up for insurance with them and I figured out how they were doing their rates. They go out there and access public information like on your driving record, this, that, and everything. But then they have an app that tracks your driving, so they put that in their database. They're gonna gather that over the years, and they're figured out a way to like get these safe drivers. So then they, of course, they pay out less in claims. That's just one example of like what I've seen, what I think they're doing, like a private company taking internal data and public data, combining it together and going, okay, I want this customer, I don't want
Yeah.
a person over here. Even though they may not have a DUI or speeding ticket, they can look at their internal, they go, yeah, this person really like is, is an accident waiting to happen, so to speak. That's just one example.
What you're
that
saying
I've
is
seen.
that you know of some companies that are using AI
Right.
and making money.
That's the only one I've been able to find.
Okay, and I mentioned that the small law firm basically
Right,
has an AI paralegal.
yeah,
Right.
right. So they're saving money on headcount,
Right.
because it's automating routine tasks.
So there are a lot of there are a lot of companies that are doing that, making money because of AI. But there are a lot that have, part of it or not, have made big investments in AI, and, you know, is it really paying off for them? Who knows, right?
Yeah,
But this little law firm, one of the things they said was, they know lots of attorneys are saying AI is, you know, unreliable, I'm never gonna use it. And they're saying, I hope lots of lawyers take that attitude, because we know how to use it to make money. To make, you know, so that makes us
yeah.
have a leg up over the others.
Yeah, because a lot of times you said like they go back and look at previous cases and all that stuff
Yeah.
like on TV, and that's public record.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, you know, but then you said like if they combine it with their proprietary data on what happened in the past, their internal data, you can make money like doing it that way.
So, as you said, this 8-year-old child was very positive, enthusiastic about its answers.
Yeah.
But if I have a doubt about how do I check that? In other words, can I do one thing through ChatGPT and get an answer to whatever my question is, or to Lee's question about family, and then go to Gemini or some other program and ask the same question?
You can, or you can just say, are you sure?
Oh.
I've done that, and,
So what does it say when you say, are you sure about that?
oh, sorry, I'll usually say, are you sure, what about this? That, you know, you said before. And he said, oh, yeah, so of course, you're right, and doesn't want to disagree with me, right? So, and I'll get a different answer. And the article about this lady who gave all her Apple medical data, she said that going back and forth with it, she got grades between A and F. You know, ask the same question again and come back with a B or whatever. So you don't have to take the first answer as gospel.
Sandy, how do you think AI affects the whole scamming industry?
Oh, great tool for scammers. Yeah.
Yeah, this whole voice recognition. I went to a brief course that the Lee County Sheriff's Office put on here the other day.
Yeah.
And it's just astounding the type of scams that they see. You know, they said the common scam of your grandson in trouble, and it starts with email, then you phone him, and somehow he comes on the line, only it's not him in his perfect voice.
Yeah.
And it says you've got to have a code word or something to identify, you know, to ask it, you know,
Yeah.
what were your dog's names, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it was just sort of stunning to think of the depths that this can be used.
Right. And images too.
And yeah, images as well. I mean, it's taken some of the fun out of it. You look at some article and you're in, this is kind of interesting, and then by the third sentence you say, this is bullshit, you know.
Yeah.
And,
Right.
So it's astounding. And even a voice interview. On the internet, there was an interview with Connor McDavid, the best hockey player in the league. And a couple of sentences into it, well, this is nonsense. He's not trashing the Oilers and going to the Rangers. You know, but I swore it was him. The mouth was moving to the words.
Standing behind the podium, they always stand behind to do their interviews. I saw one of those with Aaron Rodgers.
Did it?
You know, he's bashing the team, bashing it. I thought, what in the world is
So,
he?
you know, telling fact from fiction
Yeah.
now is damn hard.
Yeah.
Well, there's companies, I mean, it's an industry of creating false news.
Mm.
It's in the political area heavy.
Yeah.
That's all they do. Somebody pays them to go bash this, create false news, and they do it. I mean, I can't believe it.
Well, that's been going on even before AI.
Yeah.
But now it's wholesale. I mean, to your point, you don't know what's what.
Well, yeah, now they add videos and sound clips and stuff that are generated.
But they're so real, it's remarkable.
Well, last year, one of the things I showed was a video of two Hollywood actors who were interacting and like pretending they were dating or something, and it was totally fake, but really good. I mean, so
Yeah, I use it, every day in conjunction with other people. Last night we had a complicated, an intern evaluation of the university's performance. And, we had they're in trouble with this program. And so we have each year, now it's down every 6 months, critique what they said they were going to do versus what they did. And so we got our letters, we got their letters, we got the plan, and they're pretty smart. And I don't think that, we might have spent a day or more figuring out all these pieces and what's good and what isn't. So she put it into AI and said, here, I want to take all these sources and give me an outline of what we have.
excellent.
And
Yeah.
they came back with that, but then she read it all and she said, here and here and here, that doesn't look right. And early with chat, now I have tried one other one, but it was goofy, didn't serve my purpose at all. But early with chat, they would have a lot of stuff wrong.
Yeah.
And now they are pretty darn good.
Yeah, it is getting better. I wonder if anybody on Zoom would like to talk about besides Lee, who's already helped us out. Anybody else want to offer their experiences with AI?
Oh. I've had a little experience with ChatGPT, and personally using it, not very often, but now and then to do various things. But my physical trainer picked up on it and is using it all the time for some activity with Pine Manor. We're trying to send material out to people at Pine Manor and all kinds of things. She's been using ChatGPT to do that, and has been very successful with it.
Great. Anyone else?
So with ChatGPT, is it gathering your personal information when you're using it?
Does it?
Is it gathering your personal information?
I would assume so.
Because obviously you're putting stuff in there, doing your searches, and it's keeping a history.
Yeah.
But is it able to like, well, if you log on, you're from computer, probably knows where you are.
Well, we all know Google does that.
Yeah, so they're doing the
So,
same thing. They're
I
like Google.
don't know. I don't know. I would just assume that anything I type into any of those things.
Because Google seems to be getting better and better. Like you do a search in a while, then all of a sudden later on, if something pops up related to what you searched, so that's how they're making money. But it's getting pretty good at like, it's getting more specific than it used to be. It's not as generic.
Right.
I know
They
it's-
pay people a lot of money to figure out the next little niche they can get in, and they do it worldwide with their own people.
Yeah.
I have a stepdaughter that's what she does.
She works for Google.
Works for Google.
Yeah.
Pay her a lot of money. She does whatever she wants. She has a network of people across Google, and they take some little fine point, and they're drilling in there to figure out how to use that. It drives me crazy, because Google's coming in every time you
Oh, to
move
sell you
Google.
something, yeah.
Right, but that's what she does.
Yeah.
Close another door on you.
Well, they have to, yeah, they have to, you're getting the service, but they have to make money somehow off
Yeah.
it, so they're trying to like.
But the money that they're spending, Microsoft, Google, Facebook, and a number of others have put a $500 billion to build these centers, and there's a bunch of other people with smaller billion numbers, and it all ends up to being $50 trillion over the next 5 years is going to be spent on these centers. On the construction end of it, somebody says, oh, this is a real case, don't repeat it. You can use the case but not the source. It's Microsoft in Pleasant Prairie, and they said, we want to build this as fast as we can. And they're paying for the transmission lines, the substation, and then all the stuff in their building.
Right.
So they go to the public service, they go to the transmission companies, which is a public body. And they have to go to the Public Service Commission and say, we want to build a line here, and they always require another option. We build it here, or we can build it there. Here's the pros and cons of these directions, and here's how much it's going to cost. And they take the position, I want you to order the materials for both of those jobs. And I mean, this is not small numbers, big transmission stuff, transformers, all kinds of stuff. And they said, no, well, what are we supposed to do with that? We'll figure it out later. We don't want to in any way impede, we want to speed up all this as fast as we can.
You're talking about the utility or the?
The utility, well, there's transmission
Right.
utilities, and then there's local distribution utilities.
Right.
This is the transmission utility, which has to go find a tremendous amount of power to bring into this
Right.
site. And the people that the customer says, I don't care which system costs what. Just, make sure you got, whatever decision is made, we want the material there as fast as you can. So order both projects.
So the company that's building it is paying for the extra material, not the transmission company?
Correct. The customer
Okay.
is paying for everything.
Well, they're all buying AI.
So they're ordering double to make sure they got what they need?
On the material side, yes.
Right, yeah. All right. There's a good example from the internet. A company called Nortel, they were like the AT&T of Canada. They did the fiber optics when the internet was being built out 25 years ago. Same thing exact happened. Customers were ordering double and triple what they needed, but they weren't telling Nortel, but they should have been able to figure it out. And they no longer exist, Nortel. They went bankrupt because they started building all this stuff and then they didn't get paid for
Well,
it.
yeah,
So hopefully that's not what's going on a big scale.
well, in some, it's gonna happen with somebody, because there's brand new companies going in to build these centers to service other people.
Well, as long as it's a big company like a Microsoft that has deep pockets and they can pay double and then sell it off if they don't need it, but.
Well, they're building centers, there's a center being built right now, huge. None of them are small.
Right, no.
Kind of mind-boggling huge. And they're building this to serve 3 companies, Oracle and somebody else and somebody else.
Right.
But they formed a company to do the building. Now, if they're wrong about their timing, the timing is a big deal. This is market share stuff.
So who's the company? So is it this entity that the other companies form, like a subsidiary that's buying the stuff?
It's a, sometimes you call it roll-ups. It's a company that's formed to provide this service. And they may be providing it in 6 places across the country.
So they're the ones buying the excess equipment possibly.
Yes, they are.
It's not Oracle and Microsoft that's buying the equipment.
I don't know what their contract is with Oracle and others, but I can see a major company saying, that's it.
It depends on where this subsidiary.
Whoever's got the money, that's what counts.
Wherever this XYZ company's getting the money from.
Venture capital.
Let's, let me
Yeah.
break in here right now, it's 9:30 and there's some other things that we wanna talk about. Sandy, do you have anything else you wanted to say to wrap up?
I just wanted to say that, to justify all those investments, we better hope that, AI really is like the next, industrial revolution. And it may be, but time will tell.
There's a lot of people counting on it.
Yeah. Okay,